All right. Hello, and thank you for your participation in today's workshop, Balance for Parkinson's. Before I introduce our speaker, I'd like to review some general rules for the workshop. Please stay muted for the duration of the workshop. You will know that you are muted if you see a red slash through your microphone icon at the bottom of the screen. All workshops will be recorded and uploaded to our website at a later date for others to view. If you do not wish to have your video appear in the recording, please disable your video. To ensure that you have a good view of the speaker at all time, please select Speaker View. You can adjust this setting in the top right-hand corner of your screen. Please type any questions that you may have into the chat box. There will be time at the end of the workshop for our speaker to answer any questions. Our speaker for today's workshop is Danica Edelbrock. Danica has an MS in exercise physiology and a BS in nutritional science. She currently works for Scripps Health Center for Integrative Medicine. In addition to her degree, she is a registered yoga and Pilates instructor. Her medical interests and areas of expertise in rehab include Parkinson's and neuromuscular disorders, physiological and structural ailments among special populations, postural therapy, functional mobility, and specialized balance training. Her professional goal is to educate and facilitate preventative health and wellness in our community. Please join me in welcoming Danica.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you to Aging and Independent Services for hosting this fabulous week full of great information for everybody. And thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here to take care of yourself today and learn a little bit more about Parkinson's and movement and why exercise is so important for you. So I hope that each and every one of you already has an exercise program. It is truly one of the most important things you can do upon diagnosis with Parkinson's and moving forward. So all the research that's been done has shown neuroplasticity in the brain, actual changes in the brain that occur during exercise. So we want you to get involved in an exercise program that involves every component of fitness is very important, not just balance, not just cardiovascular. We really want a well-balanced program, meaning you get a little bit of everything in every single day. Now, Parkinson's disease and depression, because everybody's feeling a little bit of depression these days with lockdown and COVID and all that. So those two diseases make us want to sit, and we have to override that pretty regularly, especially when you have Parkinson's disease. So even doing a little bit of movement and getting up and walking 20, 40 steps will improve your mood, will improve happiness. So just getting up and moving, even if you don't feel like it, is key to your well-being. So sometimes we just have to click that override button and just move, even if the Parkinson's tells us we just want to sit. So components of your fitness program that will make you well-balanced and improve your balance and help prevent a fall include cardiovascular exercise. So you want to be moving, walking, biking, hiking, swimming, what is it, recumbent biking, whatever, the dancing, kickboxing, any of those things that make your heart rate move, make most of your large muscles move for a continuous period of time. So prescription for that is 30 to 60 minutes a day, most days out of the week. You know, if you're just starting a program, we always want to progress slowly with exercise. You know, we never want to be that weekend warrior, somebody that goes out, so we're just going to get injured and then not want to exercise. So slow and steady wins the race. But know that we need to continue to progress that program. So if you start with 5 minutes in the morning and at noon and at night, then you do 6 minutes and 7 minutes, and eventually you're up to that 30 minutes in a day. Doesn't have to be all at once. So don't be overwhelmed if you don't have the time to do everything at one time. So know that you can spread out that continuous movement in smaller increments throughout the day. So we want that cardiovascular component. That's so important for balance because it'll be improving our muscle mass and our endurance and, you know, the physiology of the rest of our bodies. So we don't have just Parkinson's to think about. We have our heart, we have our, you know, blood pressure, and glucose, and cholesterol, and mental health. So exercise impacts all of those as well, of course. So strength training. if you can't get to the gym because it's closed down, there's a lot of strength training programs online that you can do on YouTube. There's also body resistance that you can do. We'll do a few of those exercises during the class component of this lecture. Doing some strengthening. Generally, if you're doing a pretty heavy strength training workout, what you're going to be doing is kind of breaking down those muscle cells in your body to build back up stronger. So you ideally want to break in the strength training days so your muscles can build back up and get stronger. As we age, we lose muscle mass, we lose muscle strength, and we lose that quickness of response, those faster twitch muscle fibers as well. So we need to be challenging both the slower twitch and the faster twitch muscle fibers when we're doing our strength training and program. Leading me into the next component. So we have cardiovascular, we have strength training, we have proprioception training, the quickness of those muscles, the awareness of where we are in space. We need to think about that movement that we're doing. We need to reconnect to our feet when we're doing our balance exercises, connect to that core when we're strengthening our core, connect to that posture when we're doing postural exercises. So we really have a good sense of awareness and where we are in space. That's going to help with balance and help prevent a fall. Balance training, of course, is important. You're standing on one foot, doing tandem walking, more functional balance work that we'll do in this class shortly. That's important to do on most days of the week. The neuromuscular system needs to be challenged pretty regularly because a lot of factors go into it. Fatigue, how we're feeling, how hard our workout was the day before. So we want to challenge balance every day so we have good balance when we're tired and when we're at our best. So we want to make sure we get at least 5 minutes of that in every single day. And flexibility. Flexibility, not just of the hips and the hamstrings, which is what we tend to focus on, which are totally important, but of the fingers, of the toes, of the wrists, of the shoulders, of the spine. We need to be able to rotate that. It's going to be detrimental core mobility and strength for balance and fall prevention. So we'll touch a little bit on all those components in our class today. So you may notice, and maybe you haven't noticed, everybody has slightly different symptoms with Parkinson's. Maybe you have all of them, maybe you just have one. You may notice that one side's a little bit more challenging to do things on than the other side. I like to say if that's the case, do your balancing exercises, maybe starting on the affected side and then ending on the affected side. So you get a little bit more time on that side that needs a little bit more work. You may notice that your posture is a little bit more stooped forward. We tend to do that if we think it's correcting or helping our balance as we're bringing our center of gravity or center closer to gravity, but it really doesn't help. We're more likely to fall if we're in this forward flexed position. So we want to be very aware of that posture regularly, doing flexibility exercises through our chest and strengthening through our back. So we'll touch on those as well. Some of you may notice maybe a shortening of stride or a shuffling and maybe a slowness in your movement. What we want to work on in that case is bigger movement. So we'll touch on this a lot in class. You'll probably get sick of me saying, now stretch longer and bigger. We want to exaggerate those movements. We want amplitude. We want size. So we want to work on that as well. We want to work on flexibility, of course, strength. So all of those components are going to go into better balance for you and fall prevention. So every little bit of exercise is important. We want to move it to a level once we're comfortable that's challenging. Our body gets sick of doing the same thing all the time. We need variety. Variety is the spice of life. I know everybody's heard that. Variety is the spice of life. So we want to move every single day. And we want to move in a challenging way and a variety of ways. So of course, safety first, but we want to challenge those muscles maybe out on a hike, doing something where we're having to be mindful of where we're stepping, where we're going. If we're going the same track every day, our heart's going to be happy, our body will be happy with that, but it'll be ecstatic if we go out and do something a little bit differently. Maybe walk the track the other direction, walk at the beach, walk in the sand without your shoes on, getting different textures, feeling on your feet. So as much variety as you can incorporate into your workout, the better. The more neuroplasticity you'll get, the more changes in the brain. The old saying, the neurons that fire together, wire together. So we want to create that neuroplasticity and that wiring by doing different movement patterns as well. So how about we move a little bit? I know I love to talk, so I'm sorry. Let's talk and move now. This will be a progressive class, so it'll start off sort of easier, a little bit more basic, and then we'll progress into more challenging moves. Please take it at your own pace. If you want to sit out the more challenging exercises, please do. I'll try to offer modifications for as many of these exercises as I can. We will start seated, so make sure that that chair is on all four legs and not rollers. I've seen classes where everybody's on roller, or where people have been on rolling chairs at their desk, and please don't do that. So nice solid chair. We want to make sure we're not on a couch and not kind of sitting back in that couch either in a really low cushion. We want to make sure that our hips are at least in line with our knees while we're doing these exercises. When we stand, we'll want to make sure that the room is clear too, so we have room around us to move. So make sure there aren't any obstacles or clutter around. And if you haven't done much exercise in a while, make sure somebody's close by to spot you if you need assistance. So movement is life. We want to move, but we want to do it carefully. So let's start with our feet grounded. So I want you to get a sense of where those feet are, because the feet are a little bit important for balance. So they are our foundation, and our toes are our foundation as well. If our toes are always like this and stuck in our shoes, we want to, when our shoes are off, separate those toes and get used to really spreading our toes out. So take your toes and spread them as wide as you can in those shoes right now. So we want a firm base of support. We want to be aware of our posture. So we want a firm base of support in our hips as well. If we're forward here, work on taking those shoulder blades and sort of sliding them back. So we're aware of the muscles in the back side of the body, not just the front of the body. So slide those shoulder blades together. A lot of times we're just looking in the mirror. We only see what's in front of us. We forget that those muscles in the back are needed strong to help keep us upright. So let's do a few shoulder rolls too. That'll help with that posture. We want to make sure we start every class with just a little upper body mobility to regain that posture before we get started. Let's bring our hands together and take a giant breath in. The breathing component will help us reconnect our brain and our body. So taking a few giant deep breaths before we even get started sort of gets the body warmed up and ready, gets that blood flowing and that oxygen flowing to all of our soon-to-be working muscles. So we'll stretch up again, and it should feel good. So feel the difference of maybe how you felt when we were first sitting here versus how you feel once you start moving those arms up and out. Let's do two more. Breathe in and out. And now let's bring our hands just to the lap and alternate lifting those heels. So we want to spread the toes open wide. We want to alternate lifting those heels and just getting a good sense of mobility in those feet as well and strengthening in those feet. If we walk around with a shuffling foot or a club feet, then we're more likely to trip. We're more likely to catch our foot on the ground or the carpet. So we want to make sure we have mobility in those feet and ankles. Let's do a little ankle circle now. These are easy exercises too, but again, you don't have to do them all at once. You can do them throughout the day, circling back around. I just want you to be aware of the different exercises that you can incorporate into your daily routine. And then let's switch sides all the way around circling. And it should feel good to just draw that circle and back the other way. Our joints want this range of motion. They want to be able to move in new planes of movement. So let's give it to them. And then we'll bring the feet out. That right foot is just going to tap. So we want to strengthen in the shin, which is so important for balance. We want to strengthen in the shin muscles as well. And we can add it a little bit quicker, as quick as we can. Then we're getting that faster reactionary time movement in there. Out and in, getting a little different movement, a little different muscle fibers when we change it to out and in. And then back at center, try to make some noise with that tap and feel the warming sensation in that shin. Those muscles are working. And then we'll switch sides. So again, we're doing this to strengthen the muscles that'll help pick up our toes when we're walking. Out and in. Not that we're just impatiently waiting for something or somebody. It's actually useful. So we'll get that good tapping, tapping, tapping. And back to center. Let's take a breath in and kind of feel that warmth in the feet and shins now. Again, nice big breath in. And out. So now we're going to do a little amplitude or bigger movement. It's also going to strengthen in those hips and work on flexibility. So we're going to do a couple slow. Take it out and in. And then again, out and in. One more time. Just as big as you can. A lot of times we'll sort of drag that foot. Try to really lift it like you're stepping over a fallen tree. The bigger, the better. So now I want to do it with a little music. So throughout this class, I want to play a few of these songs with, or exercises with music so that you can see the power of music as well in your body and your soul. So a lot of times it'll help with movement, it'll help with mood if we put together a playlist for our favorite songs while we're walking and moving for bigger strides and bigger steps and more amplitude. So finding good songs with maybe 110 to 120 beats per minute. So we get sort of that melodic movement, which will help with that gait. If we're struggling with tiny steps, it'll help sort of stretch out that gait and keep us moving. So let's put on, I hope you all like this playlist that I'm going to be playing throughout. I'm going to just put a little music on, I hope. We'll see if that's working. Let's see. If it doesn't, then we can do it without it. I don't think it's going to work. I'm so sorry. There goes my fun. I love the music. Sorry, I even did a run through before. So anyway, play your favorite playlist because it really will help sort of lift your mood and also work as a good cadence for that movement when you're out on your walk or doing your cardiovascular exercise or your amplitude. So without music, we're just going to reach out with the arms now and then pull them back into center. So see how I'm making a fist right now? We want to open up those fingers and then pull it back in as a fist. So we don't want to let any part of our body go unworked. So we're going to open up those fingers and hands while we do the legs as well. So core is strong, up tall. Again, reaching out and then pull it back in, exaggerating that movement. We want to exaggerate it so then when we're not purposefully exaggerating it, it's going to just naturally be bigger. In. One more on each side. Giant out. Fist back in. Feel those muscles. Giant out. Giant back in. So we did slow and big now. Let's relax those arms a little bit and just alternate now a little bit faster with those knees. So it's sort of a fast march in place here. So that's round one. A little faster. And down. Now we want to add some coordination in there, getting both sides of the brain working together. We're going to tap the opposite hand to thigh. So we'll start off slow to really get that connection. Feel that movement. Think about what we're doing here. Then it speeds up, maybe a little faster. So again, we want to challenge that quickness of movement for reaction time. If we do catch a foot or catch a piece of carpet on our foot, then we can react to it and catch ourselves before we fall. So that fast movement is very important as well. And down. Let's take a big breath up and just feel those movements that we just did. Really think about the big, the fast, and the strong. Inhale. Sounds like I'm talking about a new Fast and Furious movie. Let's do one more. and down. Now, let's turn to one side. So we want to be able to be steady on that chair and not like leaning off of the chair. So lean more into the chair. What we're going to do is take this leg and stretch it back so we feel a little bit of stretch in the front of the hip as we reach the arm away. So see how big that movement is from my toes to my fingertips. So now we want to slide the foot in. So maybe it's to here. We'll do a few modifications. So just getting that movement, that stretch, and then pull in. Now we can make it a little bit more challenging for the core by pulling that body in. Use those abdominals and then reach it back up. Feel that stretch and how big that movement is. We want to pull it in tight and then reach. I love this exercise because it's lengthening the front of the body for good posture, but it's also strengthening that core for core strength and balance. Coming in, squeeze. It's also getting the muscles through the back of the leg that we often neglect, that we need for movement and propulsion forward. So it kind of gets a little bit of everything. Strengthening, stretching. Let's do one more. And up. And then we'll switch and turn to the other side. So we're very grounded on that chair, even holding on to the back of the chair as we reach the leg back as far as we comfortably can. Some people note that they get a little back pain on this one, so make sure that the leg's in a comfortable position and we're not twisted in that low back. So let's reach that arm away so we're as big and long as we can get. And then we'll just slide it in. Just kind of warm up those muscles a little bit. Slide it in. Then reach it away. And then pull it back in. Now, if we want to add that torso crunch on the next one, we draw the belly in, pull the elbow down as the knee comes up, and then we stretch it out long again. So we're getting the strength in that torso, posture for balance, and the length for posture and balance. And in. Isn't this more fun than just standing on one foot all day long? And in, pull in tight. I mean, we are going to stand on one foot, don't get me wrong. We're getting to it. But it's fun to incorporate different exercises to challenge different muscles that, of course, will equate to better balance without just doing the traditional standing on one foot. One more. Pull in and out. And back to center. I'm all about multitasking. And bring it back to center. Let's take that in. Breathe in. Feel that nice stretch in the upper body. And breathe out. One more time. Breathe in. And out. Now we want to take our feet a little bit wider. We want a wider base of support on this one. Same with when we're standing. If we need better balance, we'll do a little wider base of support. Like those of you that do some boxing, you know you have wider base of support when you're really getting into that back. So we want a good base of support here. We're going to reach those arms out to the side. So here we're going to rotate that torso. So we're staying big and we're going to come over and clap those hands to the side. Now when we do that, we want to feel that stretch and rotation in that torso. And then we open back up giant. So when we're open, we're squeezing our back and strengthening for posture. Then we're working that rotation, clap, feel that connection, and then open back up, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Now, this sort of mobility in the spine is important because we need to see what's going on around us, especially if we're still driving. We need to be able to rotate that torso to look over our shoulder and look all around instead of just one forward direction. So that rotation is important. The giant movements for amplitude. Again, exaggerating that movement. One more each side. I'm warming up. I hope you're warming up. And out. And relax. Let's walk those feet back in. and then walk those feet back out. So bringing awareness back to those feet, just in case we were disconnected for a minute. We want to reconnect to those feet out, all the way heel to toe, and back in. So this is warming up those hips a little bit more too. We're not just tackling those feet and ankles, we're getting that nice stretch in those hips as those feet go out. Let's do that one more time. All the way out, fancy footwork. Now let's try just a little bit faster. And in, and out. Because I like to do as much as we can fast as well to get that reaction time. Out and in, and out and in. See, this is where music is kind of makes it fun. And back in. One more time out. Fancy footwork. Back in and center. Big breath up and out. Now we're going to bring one hand to the chair and take that right arm up to the sky. We're going to do just a little lateral stretch. So we did the rotation in this plane. Now we want to stretch our spine to the side as well. So getting a nice side stretch, which is going to help with our mobility and balance and core strength. You should feel that strengthening here as we're lengthening here. And then we'll switch sides. Breathe in. I love to hold the stretches about 8 to 12 deep breaths, because then you kind of know you're getting a good sense of time. So that's about 30 seconds or so. But you're also allowing the body to relax a little bit more by taking the deep breaths. Your body will let go and stretch if you're taking deep breaths versus panting breaths. Your body will know you're not being chased by a tiger if you're taking long, deep breaths, so it will relax for you. And then we'll take both arms up. Now we're going to stretch them up, and then we're going to bring them down and clap underneath that leg. So then we're going to reach up, clap up top, and then other leg. So this one we're strengthening in the hips, working a little coordination with that clap under and up. And go as slow or as fast as you like with this one. Warming up that body. Clap up, coordinating that movement. Under, over. Don't lose that posture. Come right back up. Try not to use the backrest here. Use that core. Under, over. Good coordination. 2 more. And up. And up. 1 more each side. And relax. Yes, hopefully you feel that energy and body starting to warm up a little bit. Now from here, we're going to begin to move out of that seat. So strengthening the thighs and hips is extremely important for balance, as we all know by now, I'm sure. So this one is good to add each time you get up out of your chair or the sofa. Do a couple extra stand and sit, stand and sit, stand and sit. If you're doing like 10 or 20 in a row, do it on a good comfy chair that's like 16 inches so you're not too low in your seat when you come back down. So let's take that core. Let's hinge the body forward. Use the hands if needed on the handles or the chair and push up. Now as we come up, we want to make sure we have a good base. Our knees are soft, but we want to straighten them up. As we squeeze those muscles back, let's roll the hands forward. When our hands are rolled forward, it's a little harder to be in that position here. So we want to come up and roll forward, slide the shoulders back and down. Push those hips forward. Now make sure the chair is there. Feel for it. Go right back down. And then we'll come up again. This time, reach those arms up. Push those hips forward. Feel the nice stretch in the shoulder blades. And then come right back down. If you need to make sure that chair is still down, go down slowly. Reach up, giant. Now as we come down, let's pull the arms back behind us, sitting up tall so we're strengthening the back. Inhale, giant lift up. Exhale, sit and pull the arms back as we open the chest in front. I think you're probably beginning to see I like to multitask and get strengthening and flexibility and quickness and as much in as possible for each exercise. So it's all about variety. Squeeze it back, lift it up, and come down. Squeeze it back, lift it up. Why not do more? If we're doing something already, why not make it fun for the upper body as well? And that bigger movement. 2 more. Squeeze it back. Inhale. Breathe in. And out. We'll stay down this time. So after all that, let's work the little flexibility in the hips. So we'll cross one leg over. Sitting tall, we may feel a nice stretch here, or we may want to come forward into a little bit more stretch here. We want to be mindful of the leg, and that foot is active. So we're just not hurting in the knee. We want to keep it flexed and strong and supported. Breathe in. So from that stretch, as we breathe out, we want to really relax the head, neck, and shoulders. And then as we come up, we're using our core strength, not our arms. So take your arms out and then slide that leg straight out. Don't drop it yet. Feel those quadriceps working. Little fast pulses here. Pulse, pulse, pulse. Just in case you're getting too relaxed with that flexibility exercise. We'll wake those muscles back up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we'll bring it down. Breathe in. And out. Let's cross the other leg over. Sitting tall. And then coming forward into that stretch. So feeling that nice stretch in the hips. Hip mobility is key for balance and reaction time. So we need to be able to move in those hips quickly, but also in good range of motion. So good. Breathe. And then we use the core to come back up. Always use that core. Let's reach the arms up. And then as they come down, we'll hold them halfway down and stretch that leg out. Don't drop it yet. Little fast pulses. Feel that quadricep working. We want those faster movements. How about here? We tap our fingers together, each finger hitting the thumb. That distracts from our thigh, and we're coordinating some extra movements together. So each finger gets to tap the thumb while we're doing that leg. Yes, just a couple more, I promise. I'm warming up. And great. Bring those feet down. Inhale up and out. One more big breath up and out. So we are going to move to doing some exercises standing now. If you prefer to stay seated, you can do some of the single leg exercises and just play around with movement in the torso here. So you're sitting, one leg lifted, and you're rotating the torso and moving it side to side, and then doing the other side. So play around with some of these balancing exercises seated while we do a few standing, because we're still really challenging balance just by lifting one foot and doing that lateral movement here and some twisting here. So please continue doing some balancing exercises seated while we stand. So standing strong next to, of course, something stable to hold on to. Let's roll those shoulders back from here. So we want to continue that big movement while we're standing. So we want to, if we need to hold on, hold on. We're going to step and open the arm and then bring it back across to the hip. So we're aware of touching that hip, and then we're opening it up here. Bring it back in. So again, if we're starting small here, the smaller steps, eventually giant step forward. Now we don't have to hold on to the chair. If it feels easy, we can take one hand to the hip and just tap the hip, open it. So imagine that arm getting even longer each time. Bring it back in. That amplitude of movement. Giant step out. 2 more. And back in. Giant step out and in. So now holding back on, we're going to take the knee up, out, and around. Up, So we're working in hip strength, also getting balance because we're loading that one leg. Core is strong, holding on pretty good, or if it feels easy, we can begin to add the arm as well, up and around. Or even lift that hand just slightly off the chair. Keeping it close because this is very advanced, but I know I have a lot of different levels out there, so we want to make sure that we're challenging, but being safe. If you're sitting down, you can be doing this as well. Up and around. 2 more. Up and around. Last one, up and around. So we're going to stay on that same leg, that same right leg. And we're going to push that left leg behind us now. So it looks like this from the side. So we're pushing it back, getting the muscles through the back of the hips. So this exercise, we're tackling the back of the hips. The last exercise, we kind of got around the whole hip. And the one before was more the front. So push, push. Donkey kick. So we want to push our foot, try to kick that wall behind. Lightly holding, press. 4, 3, 2, and 1. We'll bring it down and then come up onto the toes. So if you're seated, do this. Little heel raise here, feels good in those calves and ankles. Separating those toes, feel that stretch underneath those feet as well. Core is strong. I like to do this one when I'm standing in line at the grocery store, holding on to my cart. So 2 and 1. Now we'll come around to the other side of that chair. So lightly holding. We're going to start with that step out. So remember, if you start with a tinier step, go for big as you can take it out and in. That amplitude, that exaggerated movement. Stretch it out. Bring it back in. As we come back, it challenges balance going in that back movement. So make sure the core in front is very tight and strong. Breathing and in, reaching and in. 2 more. Reach. Keep those fingers connected. Or we can bring the hand to the hip. 1 more with this. And then back to center. So we're holding, core is strong, up, out, and around. So let's get the movement before we add those arms. Get that range of motion in the hip. For some of you, it may feel good to just move the knee around here. Option to bring it up a little higher. Up and around. Arm added to it. Reach it. Reach. It feels good to stretch. We can lightly hold or even take our hand off. Very challenging, but I know you can do it, those of you out there that want a little more challenge. 3 and 2 and 1. Now we'll bring it back in for the donkey kicks. We're going to push it back. Push it back. Now we want to avoid on this one just right now. Avoid leaning forward and try to push using the glutes and the hamstrings. So you should feel it in the back side of that body. Push it back. Push it back. 5. So these are all good balancing exercises that we're doing on one foot, but it's just a little bit more fun and active this way. 2 and 1. We'll bring it down. Inhale, reach those arms up. Wiggle those fingers all the way down and circle those wrists because we don't want to forget about those wrists. 1 more time up. And we'll circle all the way down. So now let's stand behind the chair. I'm going to turn my chair sideways so you can get a little better view. We'll stand on one foot. Here it is. The standing on one foot. We can do this holding on. We can do it without holding on. We can do it holding on with our eyes closed because closing the eyes takes away a big sense that we use for our balance and brings our awareness more into that sense of touch and and proprioception. So we're more aware, more keenly aware of those feet now when the eyes are shut. Or we take the eyes open and hands up. Or to make it even more challenging, if this feels easy, we want to progress to bringing the body forward and then back up. So we're looking down and then we're looking up. Challenging different senses of balance, looking forward, looking down, also moving that head position, changes the fluid in the ear, which challenges that vestibular system as well. 2 more. 1 more. And then we'll go ahead and switch sides. So again, the standing on 1 foot, this is a great starting point. Or we take the hands off, or we hold and close the eyes, just feeling that sense of where our body is without looking. Or we open and add a little bit more challenge and movement through the whole body and having to counterbalance coming up and forward. And great, we'll do a few more. Last one. And back to center. Yes. So inhale up and down. So now we're going to step our feet wide. We're going to do just a couple more standing. We want to turn and reach those fingertips. I'm going to move this just out of the way so you can see. Fingertips away from each other and onto the toes. Now this is going to offset balance because we're just on those back toes. And we're reaching as big as we can away. And then we want to bring it back into center, bring those hands together, clap it, and then reach it away. So squeeze those shoulder blades, reach those fingertips. This is a great one for balance and also posture. Bring it back in, clap, reach away. Bring it back in, clap, reach away, lengthen. So we're challenging that balance. This is pretty advanced too, so be careful with this one. On those toes, stretching, that supporting legs, doing a lot of work. Clap it, 1 more, reach, and clap it back at center. We'll bring those feet together, roll those shoulders back, and then we'll go ahead and have another seat. And do a couple of stretches now, rolling back. So before we get into all the stretching now seated, I'm not going to demonstrate any floor exercises today, but I would like to encourage you all to get down on the floor and do floor work each and every day. Even if you just get down on the floor and then back up, progressing to getting down on the floor, doing cat and cow or some back exercises on your hands and knees, and then getting back up. Please get down on the floor every single day because it's a special kind of flexibility and strength that you need to get down on the floor and back up with. And just doing that every day is going to keep you a lot more loose and strong and agile. Plus, if you do have a fall, you need to have the strength to be able to get back up without calling the fire department to get you back up. So please, 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 every day, work on getting up and down off of the floor and practicing that strengthening and core work on the floor, then progressing slowly, but please practice that each and every day. Can't emphasize that enough. Get up and down off that floor. Okay, so let's stretch those hamstrings out. Those toes are up, that leg is very straight. Some of us may feel it just by doing this position. The rest of us may need to go a little bit further and hold that stretch, maybe down on the shin or thigh. This stretch is just important for everybody to do because we have been sitting so much lately on the computer and watching our Netflix and driving. So these muscles tend to get very tight in the hamstrings, which can cause sciatica. It can also cause other back pain. So we want to keep those hamstrings flexible for posture as well, and mobility, pretty much everything. And then we'll come back up and switch sides. We'll take that leg out straight, sit tall, breathe in, and sliding forward. Core is strong, head, neck, and shoulders are relaxed. Feel that nice stretch. And then we'll come all the way back up. And let's sit back into our seat now. Yay, finally, letting you use your back rest. So let's sit here and do a nice shoulder stretch. So we want to just pull that arm across the body. You might wonder, why is she stretching her arms for balance? Well balanced means getting all of those muscles and giving them all a little bit of attention each and every day. Plus, for function, we need our shoulders to be stretched out every day. So let's switch sides, pull it across, flip over. Stretching out the shoulders also helps with arm swing. If you notice one arm isn't swinging like the other arm, then doing the shoulder stretches and those amplitude exercises will really help with rehab from a fall, because you do not want to rehab from a broken thigh or a broken femur or a broken wrist. Or please do the work on the front end, not the back end. Thank you so much for having me and for being here. And if you have any questions, let me know. I think we have time. Oh, hello.
Hi, if you have questions, feel free to use the chat box, or you can raise your hand and we'll unmute you to ask your question. Hi, did you have a question?
Oh, very good. I enjoyed it.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Yeah, the question is, when is the next one?
I love it. I love it. Well, we do offer classes here at Scripps. I teach 3 days a week here, and we have free Zoom classes. So I think that you have those resources on a resource sheet that might be coming out. So we do offer those free classes here. I teach 3 days a week at Scripps Health. I've been thankful enough to be here 18 years and started our Keep Moving with Parkinson's program here about 15 years ago. So really grateful to be here. And then I also have some YouTube channel exercises for Parkinson's and just kind of in general. So if you want to Google my name, Danica Edelbrock, exercise physiologist, I have some classes there. I know live is more fun because it can be kind of goofy and it's more real life, but sometimes the quicker videos do help as well too. So I highly recommend, if you haven't already, get on YouTube. Power Up for Parkinson's has a lot of great exercises, and the Daily Dose has a lot of great Parkinson's exercises. The Brian Grant Foundation, Davis Finney Foundation. So there's a great number of resources out there for online exercise. So please just find something that you enjoy and do a variety of classes, because it can get a little boring if you do the same one all the time. But pick a variety of classes and try to join in on some Zoom live, because you do get a sense of that camaraderie when you're able to join live with some other folks as well. So I hope that answers your question in a long way.
And we also have the link to the YouTube channel and the link to the Scripps classes also in the chat box. If you want to access those, they're in there.
Okay. Very good.
Okay. Thank you again for your participation in today's workshop, and a special thanks to our speaker. If you have any questions for our speaker, Danica, feel free to email them to healthierliving.hhsa@sdcounty.ca.gov. If you haven't already, we encourage you to look over our calendar of events for Fall Prevention Awareness Week. Registration is still open for many of the workshops. For additional details about the calendar of events or to register for more workshops, please visit www.sandiegofallprevention.org. Thank you and stay safe.
Thank you.